Hi and welcome back to Airbrush Ways. In this video I'm going to show you the basic control of the airbrush. As you can see, I have a coffee table top that I've put a steel sheet on. This is the thing that holds the magnets, which I use for holding the paper down when I'm airbrushing. So nice and handy. It's on a rack and placed at around 35-40 degree angle. It gives me a nice area to work on. So I've already mixed up some paint. I've used the 4012 reducer and some transparent black from Auto Air. Today I'm going to be using the Sotar Badger 2020. First thing is, when I've mixed the paint up, is I'm going to get rid of the first little bit of it, mix, which, as you know, 4020 goes in there, 4012 goes in there first, reducer, paint goes in, we mix with the brush. You're still going to get a little bit of reducer coming out first, so test it. A little spray will get rid of that reducer and then you're down to your paint. So I'm going to start off just by looking how we're doing on pressure. Normally I would have a test paper at the side of me. Okay, so I can see now from there, when I press down, if you can see, I'm not pulling back and it's producing paint. All that means is the needle isn't sitting just as far in as it should do to stop the paint from coming through. So I'm going to open the needle chuck, and on these badgers you can do it without taking the back off. I'm just going to twist that slightly so I can push this back into place, and then from there tighten up the needle chuck, test again, and now we can see no paint coming through at all. So if you have that problem, that's the way to do it. Okay, so we're going to start off then. We're just going to give you an idea. Push down on the trigger for air, pull back for paint, pull back for paint, pull back for paint. And the idea then is, if I keep going along and doing these dots, I can come further away and do bigger dots. I can turn the air down and do again bigger dots. I can just pull back ever so slightly and do a very faint dot. So compare those to the ones above. It's the same paint, exactly the same paint, but as you can see, we have a light and we have a dark, we have small, we have large. Everything's done with either pulling back away, and this is probably a bit too far for this brush, but if I pull right back to here and I just let the paint build, look at the size of the dot I'm doing now. That's exactly the same paint, the same brush, the same air as these. Obviously the further back you go, the more overspray you're going to get around the dot. So just for an example, I'll take this little magnet, I'll put it in there, and I'll do a dot at the side of that. The same kind of distance. I'm going to let it build up, and then I'm going to take away the magnet, and you'll see, even though it's not completely visible, you'll see when I take this away where the overspray has gone around the magnet. So you have to be careful. The further out you go, the more overspray you're going to get, but the softer the fade of the dot is going to be. If I bring this in close, slowly bring on the paint, those dots get even smaller and are more defined with less overspray. So I start with that dot, and then if I want to keep it tight, I can just start to go round in a circle. So now I'm getting a bigger dot, but with a darker centre and less overspray. This kind of exercise of doing dots should be done all the time. You should be able to do this and fill up 10 of these papers just with dots. And the idea then is, if you start to get these, you can do dots, and then from there you can look to say, okay, I'm going to start here on this dot, and I'm going to work up to that dot. So now you can start and finish. I'll start here on this dot, and then I'm going to work across to this dot. If you keep this going, oops, that's a bit wobbly. If you keep this going, you start to use control and stop and start, stop and start. So when you're doing this without the dots, we put on the air, we start to move, and then we come up and we start and we stop. Start, stop, start, stop. Same going this way. Start to move, start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. And of course we know that if we get closer, the line gets thinner. Pull back more on the paint, the line gets darker. So, dots, join the dots, big dots, small dots, lines, stop, start, stop, start. And the idea is, if you keep doing that, you'll definitely improve when you come to work on a piece of artwork. The last thing you want to do is, if I say, okay, I want to paint up to that line, whereas I start here, I'm bringing on the paint and I want to get to that line and I don't know when to stop, and I go past, I make a mistake. Every mistake can be remedied, but if you don't make the mistake, that's the compressor. If you don't make the mistake in the first place, then you don't have to remedy it. Okay, I'm Jack. This is Airbrush Ways. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll do another video in a short while, taking it a little bit further from this. Okay, thanks.